This is the show where we take raw information and really transform it into the kind of practical, situational knowledge you need to speak English fluently and naturally.
Hmm.
Today, we're going on quite a journey. It's a deep dive into step-by-step English fluency, and we're using some really diverse sources.
Yeah, really diverse. We're talking everything from, high stakes business communication, boardroom crises,
Right.
all the way down to messy kitchens and domestic life, and even personal habits and willpower.
Exactly. It's quite the range.
It is. And our mission today, especially for you advanced learners listening, is to really distill all this material. We've got finance guides, we've got dialogue scripts,
Right.
and we want to turn it into actionable knowledge. The goal is to move you past just knowing individual words.
Yeah, beyond the vocab list.
Exactly. We want you to internalize those advanced fluency phrases, the ones that let you react, negotiate, advise, smoothly in all sorts of real-world situations. So for each main section, we'll pull out about 5 key vocabulary items and maybe 3 crucial fluency builders. But the real focus, it's on how to use them, what they imply.
And I think the power of this deep dive really comes from seeing that language mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a lot like managing your money well, or even just keeping your house clean.
Mm-hmm. How so?
It relies on structure, on having a method. It's not just random. So we're taking these complex topics and turning them into, hopefully, some really essential insights you can use straight away.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Let's start where the stakes are highest and where precision is absolutely critical. The language of corporate crisis.
Okay, so picture this scene. You've got an employee sitting across from their boss, and they have to deliver some truly awful news.
Right, the kind of news that could really damage the company.
Exactly. The sources paint this picture. Q1 was a disaster. Sales absolutely plummeted, like 50% down.
Ouch.
Yeah. And on top of that, the company's overstocked, they're overstaffed, and the whole market seems to be sliding into recession.
So a perfect storm, basically. Pretty much.
Hmm.
And in that situation, the sources stress that every single word counts. You need precision, but you also need to deliver it like a human being, right?
Absolutely. The delivery is key. And that initial exchange sets the tone. The boss, probably sensing something's wrong, braces for it,
And
asks for the gory details. That's the first phrase the employee uses, according to the source.
gory details. Wow, that's a really strong phrase. Gory makes you think of, well, blood and guts. Gore.
It does. It has that visceral, shocking quality.
So when the boss asks for the gory details, he's basically saying, give me everything, all the bad stuff, don't hold back.
Exactly. All the little negative, maybe even shocking parts of the situation.
But hang on, for a serious business meeting, isn't gory details maybe a bit too informal, a bit dramatic?
That's a really good point. And normally, yes, it is conversational, quite informal.
Okay.
However, think about the context. It's probably a closed-door meeting, maybe they have an established relationship, and the news is genuinely terrible. In that specific moment, using a high-impact, evocative phrase like gory details actually confirms the severity very quickly. It's like saying, okay, we're past polite euphemisms now. We need the brutal truth.
Ah, I see. It cuts through the usual business speak.
Precisely. Like when a newspaper reports all the gory details of some political scandal, you know they aren't leaving out the damaging facts. Here, the power of the word, the urgency it conveys, kind of outweighs the usual formality.
Okay, that makes sense. Urgency trumps formality sometimes.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next crisis point, the staffing issue. The employee mentions they might have to consider redundancies.
Redundancies. Now, this word carries specific weight, doesn't it? Regionally and functionally.
How so?
Well, redundancies is primarily the British English term.
Ah, okay. British English.
Yeah. It means the company needs to get rid of certain job roles because those roles are no longer needed, usually for financial or structural reasons. The role itself is redundant.
Got it. So it's about the job disappearing, not necessarily the person being bad at it.
Exactly. Whereas the American English equivalent is typically layoffs.
Right, layoffs. We hear that a lot.
We do. And the nuance is subtle, but important for you as a learner. Using redundancies suggests this kind of structural necessity, maybe a bit more impersonal. Layoffs just means people are being let go, released from their jobs. The end result is the same job loss, but the framing is slightly different.
So knowing which term to use depends on where you are and maybe the specific company culture too.
Definitely. It's key for sounding professional and fitting in, especially in, say, a UK or Commonwealth context versus a US one.
Okay. And getting rid of those roles, making those redundancies, wasn't going to be cheap. The source mentioned the new regulations governing compensation packages. That's a bit of a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but it's a fantastic example of a really useful pattern in advanced formal English. It's that noun governing noun structure.
Noun governing noun. Can you break that down?
Sure. Look at the phrase, regulations governing compensation packages. You have the first noun, regulations,
Read the rules.
and it governs, it controls or directs the second noun phrase, compensation packages.
Okay, so the rules control the packages.
Exactly. And this structure, noun governing noun, is a hallmark of concise, authoritative language. Advanced learners should really look for ways to use this because it cuts down on wordiness dramatically.
Instead of saying,
Instead of saying the rules that control income taxes, you just say regulations governing income taxes. Much shorter, sounds more official.
I see. It gives it immediate clarity and authority, like policies governing corporate pollution.
Perfect example. The company's policies control their pollution output. Or if a city's transport system is chaotic.
You might talk about the lack of regulations governing city transportation.
Exactly. It instantly shows that relationship of control or lack of control.
And the compensation packages themselves, that's everything someone gets when they leave, right? Severance pay, maybe health benefits continue for a bit, stock options.
That's right. It's the whole financial bundle, the cost the company incurs when someone is made redundant or laid off. It's the full financial hit.
Which brings us neatly to the phrase describing who takes that hit. The employee realizes the company will have to shoulder this cost.
Mm-hmm. Shoulder the cost.
I really like this phrase. It's so visual, isn't it? It uses that physical analogy.
It does, to shoulder the cost, or you can also shoulder the burden. It's like you're literally picking up a heavy weight and putting it on your shoulder.
So it means taking full responsibility for paying that cost or dealing with that difficult duty.
Exactly. It implies acceptance, commitment. It sounds much stronger, much more like leadership than just saying, we will accept the cost. It conveys ownership.
Okay, powerful phrase.
Yeah.
And the final bit of business vocabulary from this section.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to their supplier? The factory has gone under.
Right. Gone under. Simple phrase, but very definitive.
What does it mean exactly?
To go under means a company fails completely. It goes bankrupt, it stops operating, it's finished. It's a very common idiomatic way to talk about business failure or insolvency.
Okay, so we've got the key vocabulary for the crisis. Gory details, redundancies versus layoffs, regulations governing compensation packages, shoulder the cost, and go under. Now, how do you actually deliver this kind of awful news, that high-stakes emotional side?
That's where the fluency builders come in. These are the phrases that manage the conversation flow and the emotional temperature.
Right, so the boss is steeling himself for the bad news, and he says,
Lay it on me.
lay it on me. Okay, that sounds pretty informal.
It is. It's a superb example of fluent, informal dialogue. It's a direct command, really. Tell me the bad news.
So it means stop delaying, stop trying to soften it, just tell me.
Precisely. It signals, I'm ready, maybe a bit impatient, just give it to me straight. But crucially, you only use this when the listener already knows the news is going to be bad. You wouldn't say it if you were expecting good news.
Got it. Okay, so the employee starts outlining the disaster plunging sales. Too many staff.
Yeah.
And the boss just explodes with, for crying out loud.
Yes, for crying out loud. This is such a wonderfully versatile phrase. It expresses frustration, annoyance, exasperation.
Like, oh my God, or come on.
Exactly, but maybe with a bit more tension, a bit more shock or deep annoyance when something unexpected and unwelcome happens.
Can you give some examples? The source had a few good ones.
Yeah, they did. Imagine you're waiting for a critical report. You might say, for crying out loud, I told you I needed that report by Wednesday, not Friday. It shows that deep frustration.
Okay.
Or maybe something less serious but still annoying. For crying out loud, you just got your driving license last week and you've already backed the car into the garage wall.
Huh, right. Perfect for expressing that sudden, profound annoyance.
It really is.
And then, the toughest moment. The employee needs to deliver the really harsh truth, but maybe indirectly. They use that classic softening strategy.
Ah, yes. How can I put this? Let's just say that. Combo.
Explain that one. How does it work?
Well, it's a masterful technique for being indirect, especially when the truth might be hurtful or awkward. You start with that hesitation. How can I put this? Which signals you're choosing your words carefully.
Okay, prepares the listener.
Exactly. Then you follow with the mitigating phrase. Let's just say that. And what usually follows isn't the direct, brutal truth, but maybe a gentler description, a metaphor, or an understatement.
It softens the blow.
It really does. The source gave that example about telling a friend their partner is pregnant. Instead of blurting it out, you might say, "How can I put this?" Let's just say that soon you'll be hearing the pitter-patter of little feet.
The metaphor delivers the news gently, gives them a second to figure it out.
Precisely. Or in the business context, instead of saying, "Michael is terrible at his job and he's losing us clients," which is very direct and judgmental.
You might say.
How can I put this?
Yeah.
Let's just say that Michael isn't doing a great job right now, and maybe we need to rethink his client portfolio. It gets the negative message across, but it maintains a degree of professional courtesy.
Very useful for difficult conversations. Now, connecting all this back to the real world of business failure, the dialogue mentioned the possibility of the company filing for Chapter 11.
And that brings up a really important legal distinction in the U.S. and also highlights an interesting international contrast that the sources pointed out.
Okay, let's break down the U.S. system first. Bankruptcy laws are organized by chapters, right?
That's right. And Chapter 11 is the one typically used by companies, corporations.
So when a big company is in deep financial trouble, running out of money, but they want to try and survive.
Exactly. They need time to restructure their debts, reorganize the business, maybe sell off some assets, but crucially, they want to keep operating while they do it. So they file for Chapter 11 protection. It's about trying to save the business.
Okay, and what about Chapter 13? Is that related?
It is, but it's different. Chapter 13 is generally for individuals, not companies. Usually individuals who have a regular income but have accumulated large debts, maybe credit cards, medical bills, mortgages, car loans.
So people who can potentially pay back some debt over time.
Yes. Chapter 13 involves setting up a repayment plan, typically over 3 to 5 years, to pay back creditors, often at a reduced amount.
Got it. Chapter 11 for companies restructuring. Chapter 13 for individuals creating a repayment plan.
And the key principle underlying both in the U.S. system, and this is the huge cultural difference the source highlighted, is the idea of providing a pathway to financial recovery or forgiveness. A second chance, in a way.
A second chance. How does that contrast internationally?
Well, the source specifically mentioned countries like Dubai, where the legal attitude towards debt can be much stricter. Defaulting on loans or even bouncing a check can be treated as a criminal offense.
Wow, criminal. So jail time.
It can lead to jail time in some cases, yes, which is a stark contrast to the U.S. system, where bankruptcy is a civil matter aimed at resolution and allowing the debtor to eventually become economically productive again.
That's a massive difference in legal philosophy. One prioritizes giving the debtor a fresh start. The other prioritizes enforcing the contract with potentially severe personal consequences.
Exactly. And just understanding that term, Chapter 11, opens up that whole fascinating global comparison for someone aiming for true fluency in business contexts.
Okay, so we've just navigated a pretty intense corporate disaster zone, full of legal terms and financial pressures.
Definitely high stakes.
And now we shift gears completely. We're moving from the boardroom right into the living room or maybe the kitchen.
A different kind of battleground.
Exactly, because the next scenario is all about that everyday friction. A couple arguing because the house is in absolute state and the boss is coming over for dinner. It's all about dividing up the housework.
And this shift is so important, isn't it? It shows that fluency isn't just about impressing people in meetings. It's about handling the daily grind, the conversational negotiation, the relational stuff.
Yeah, the language of everyday life, which advanced learners sometimes overlook maybe.
I think so. They focus on the complex stuff and forget the basics of, well, talking about chores. So let's dig into the 5 key domestic vocabulary items from this source, starting with the problem itself.
The core issue. The house is such a mess.
Right. Such a mess. It's a great flexible phrase. What does it really convey?
It means it's really dirty or super disorganized, a cluttered, stuff everywhere, dishes piled up, clothes on the floor, newspapers scattered around, just chaos.
Immediate, severe disorganization. Perfect. And the things they need to do to fix this mess are
Chores.
Chores. That common collective noun for all those necessary jobs around the house.
Like doing the laundry, washing the dishes, making the bed, taking out the garbage.
Exactly. The source even mentioned a slightly more old-fashioned chore, chopping wood.
Right, which most of us probably don't do anymore.
Probably not. But it still evokes that feeling of required effort, doesn't it? Tasks that just have to be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's what chores are.
Okay, so faced with the mess and the list of chores, what's the first step? You need to tidy up.
Yes. Tidy up. This is a key verb. What's the difference between tidying up and, say, cleaning?
Good question. Tidying up seems more about organizing things, putting them back where they belong.
Exactly. You tidy up your desk by putting papers into neat piles, putting pens in the holder, but the desk might still need cleaning, you know, wiping it down with a cloth to remove dust or stains.
Ah, okay. So tidying is about creating order, putting things away. Cleaning is more about removing dirt, about hygiene.
Precisely. You tidy the room before you clean it, usually.
Got it. And the ultimate goal, especially with a boss coming over, is to make the house
Spotless.
spotless. That sounds like the highest level of clean.
It really is. It's an excellent adjective. It means perfectly clean, incredibly clean, like literally not a single spot of dirt or dust visible anywhere.
Implies a really deep, thorough, clean perfection.
Mm-hmm. The gold standard.
Okay. And our fifth vocabulary item from this domestic scene relates to getting supplies, specifically where you get them, mall versus shopping center.
Right. Another one of those regional differences that can trip you up if you're not aware of it.
So how does it break down?
Generally, in North America, the US and Canada, that big, usually indoor enclosed building with lots and lots of different shops, department stores, maybe a food court. That's a mall.
Okay, the mall.
Whereas in British English, the preferred term is often shopping center. Sometimes you might also hear shopping precinct, especially for outdoor pedestrian areas with shops.
So if I invite my British colleague to meet me at the mall,
They might understand you from context or American media, but their internal picture might be slightly different. They might think of something smaller, maybe partially outdoors.
Yeah.
Using shopping center would sound more natural to them.
good to know. It's a small word, but it carries those geographical assumptions.
Exactly. Now let's zoom in on one essential task mentioned, getting groceries.
Ah, yes, groceries. Defining it seems simple enough. It's the food and other stuff you buy at the supermarket, right?
Mhm.
Bread, milk, vegetables, maybe toilet paper, cleaning supplies.
That's the basic definition, yes. Food and household consumables. But fluency isn't just about definitions. It's built on using words and natural combinations, collocations.
Right, how the word grocery typically combines with other words.
Exactly. We need to internalize these common phrases. So where do you buy groceries?
Go to the grocery store.
Right. And importantly, in North America, a grocery store usually means a large supermarket, not just a tiny corner shop or convenience store, although those also sell some groceries.
Okay, so grocery store implies scale in the U.S., Canada, and the activity itself.
Is grocery shopping? I need to do some grocery shopping this afternoon.
Before you go, you make a
Grocery list.
grocery store, grocery shopping, grocery list. Using those combinations sounds much more natural than trying to awkwardly say food item store or the list for the food items.
Absolutely. Mastering these collocations signals a much higher level of fluency.
Okay, now for the fluency builders from this domestic negotiation, how do you politely get out of doing a chore immediately?
Ah, the classic avoidance tactic. The source gives us the perfect phrase. I'm in the middle of something right now.
I'm in the middle of something right now.
Yeah, that sounds very natural.
It's fluent, it's polite, it clearly communicates that you're occupied at this exact moment and you need to delay helping, but it does so without sounding rude or abrupt, like just saying, I'm busy, might me.
It implies what you're doing is important, but subtly.
Exactly. Now, what if you do intend to help, just not this very second? You wouldn't say, I will arrive to assist you in a brief period, right?
No.
You'd use that incredibly common natural phrase, I'll be there in a second.
Right, I'll be there in a second, or I'll be there in a minute.
And it doesn't literally mean 60 seconds, does it?
No, it just means very soon. I'm coming shortly. It shows you've heard the request, you're responsive, but you just need a moment. Vital for keeping the peace sometimes. Definitely. And the key phrase for actually dividing up the chores, the negotiation itself, the source highlighted this wonderfully diplomatic structure.
Ah, the why don't you do this and I'll do that format.
Exactly. Why don't you verb and I'll verb?
This structure is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because it avoids giving a direct command.
totally. Instead of sounding bossy, you clean the floors, which can cause conflict.
You frame it as a cooperative suggestion.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you clean the floors and I'll go to the supermarket to get the groceries?
Precisely. It puts you on the same team, working together. It removes that potential power struggle and promotes collaboration, a really smart fluency tool for negotiation.
Definitely one to remember for household harmony. Now, this domestic dialogue also brought up a couple of interesting side points, linguistic and cultural. There was that moment when the vacuum cleaner apparently exploded.
Yes. Leading to a little aside about the word vacuum itself.
Right. The source mentioned the British habit of using the brand name Hoover as a verb
Mm-hmm. You hoover the carpets or do the hoovering.
instead of vacuum the carpets or do the vacuuming.
Exactly. It's a classic example of what linguists call a proprietary eponym, where a brand name becomes the generic term for the product.
Like Americans saying Kleenex for any tissue.
Or Xerox for making a photocopy, even if the machine isn't a Xerox. Or Band-Aid for a sticking plaster.
Right. So Hoover is the British equivalent for vacuuming. Good to know to avoid confusion.
It can definitely cause a double take if you're not expecting it. The other observation was more cultural.
About who was doing the housework.
Yeah. The source noted the dynamic in the scenario. The man was involved in the cleaning, the idea of the house husband, and linked it to that broader trend, especially noticeable in North America, towards household chores being shared more equally between partners.
So the language and the scenario itself kind of reflect changing social norms around domestic labor and gender roles.
Exactly. Language doesn't exist in a vacuum. Couldn't resist. It reflects and shapes the society that uses it.
Okay, let's pivot again. We've gone from external responsibilities, dealing with a corporate crisis, cleaning the house for guests, to something deeply internal and personal.
Mm-hmm. The internal struggle.
Yes. The third source dives into a conversation about smoking and the difficulty of quitting. And this gives us some really excellent high-level vocabulary for talking about health, habits, vices, addiction, and personal change.
It's a rich area, language-wise, precisely because it deals with that internal conflict and the words we use to describe it. Where does the conversation start?
It starts with a very direct complaint. The room smells like an ashtray.
Okay, ashtray. Let's define that first.
An ashtray is just that little dish or container you use to put cigarette ash and the finished cigarette butts in.
Right, so if a place smells like an ashtray.
It means it stinks of old, stale cigarette smoke. The smell's really strong, probably implying someone smokes indoors a lot or the place isn't aired out, generally a negative description. Got it. A strong, unpleasant odor of stale smoke. Now, the core issue in the dialogue revolved around how to stop smoking, and specifically the difference between two approaches.
Yes, the difference between to cut down and to quit.
This distinction is absolutely crucial for getting the nuance right when talking about changing habits. What's the difference?
Well, to cut down means you reduce how much you do something. You lessen the quantity or frequency.
So if you smoke 20 cigarettes a day, you might try to cut down to 10.
Exactly. Or if you drink 4 cups of coffee, you cut down to 2. Whereas to quit means you stop completely.
Entirely. Forever. No more smoking at all.
Right. And this language isn't just for smoking, is it? You can apply it to lots of things.
Oh, absolutely. You can cut down on your workload if you're too stressed. You can cut down on salt or fatty foods for health reasons.
You might tell your doctor, I'm trying to cut down on carbs, but maybe I've quit eating processed sugar completely. That difference is important.
Very important. Now, when someone actually performs the action of starting a cigarette, what's the common phrasal verb? The source highlights to light up.
To light up, meaning
Literally, to use a match or a lighter to ignite the end of the cigarette and start smoking it.
right. But often, in conversation, it just means to smoke a cigarette, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You hear signs like, please do not light up in this area. It means no smoking here. It's much more natural and fluent than saying, please do not begin to smoke a cigarette here.
Definitely. Sounds much better. Now, the person in the dialogue who was struggling to quit, what was their main obstacle?
A lack of willpower.
Ah, willpower. Such a key concept. What is it exactly?
It's that internal strength, isn't it? That mental determination, the resolve you need to stick to a decision, especially a difficult one.
Like sticking to a diet when there's cake, or getting up early to exercise, or resisting the urge to smoke.
Exactly. It's your capacity for self-control when you're faced with temptation or discomfort. People trying to overcome addiction often talk about needing more willpower. It's seen as the crucial ingredient.
And that willpower is constantly fighting against
The urge.
the urge. Explain that.
An urge is that strong, sudden feeling, that impulse or desire from inside you telling you to do something, like the urge to check your phone, the urge for chocolate.
Or in this context, the powerful urge to have a cigarette.
Right. It's often physical as well as psychological. It's that internal voice or feeling demanding you give in.
And it's closely related to the idea of cravings, isn't it?
Yes, very similar. Cravings often implies a really intense, almost physical need, like the food craving, sometimes associated with pregnancy, or the intense cravings experienced during drug withdrawal. An urge might feel slightly less overwhelming than a full-blown craving, but they're closely linked.
Okay, willpower battling the urge or craving. Got it. Now, let's look at the fluency builders that describe the actions people take, starting with that really famous, slightly strange idiom.
You mean go cold turkey. Sometimes go cold turkey overnight.
That's the one. Go cold turkey. What on earth does that mean? It sounds bizarre.
It does sound bizarre, but it has a very specific meaning in the context of habits. To go cold turkey means you stop a habit, and it's almost always used for addictive habits like smoking, drinking, sometimes drugs. You stop it immediately.
Suddenly, without phasing it out.
Exactly. Abruptly, completely, and usually intending it to be forever. No gradual reduction, cutting down, just boom, stop. Today you smoke, tomorrow you don't, ever again.
Wow. That sounds intense.
It's generally considered the hardest way to quit because you face the full force of withdrawal symptoms or cravings immediately. The source apparently links the name to the appearance of goosebumps on the skin during withdrawal, resembling the skin of a cold, plucked turkey.
Huh. Okay, that's memorable. So cold turkey, immediate, abrupt cessation of a habit.
Right. Now, the second fluency builder isn't about individual action, but societal action. Laws are cracking down.
Cracking down. What does that phrase imply?
It means authorities like the police, the government, a school administration are becoming much stricter about enforcing rules or laws. They're acting more forcefully.
So, increased enforcement may be tougher penalties.
Usually, yes. It implies a shift towards a more rigorous, less tolerant approach. We hear about police cracking down on drunk driving around holidays, meaning more checks, stricter penalties.
Or a school might be cracking down on students being late, maybe giving detentions immediately instead of warnings.
Exactly. And in the context of smoking, you might hear about the government cracking down on smoking in public places, with higher fines or more places becoming smoke-free. It forces people to change their behavior through stricter external controls.
Okay, clear. Now, the sources went a bit deeper into why people start smoking in the first place, and also what doesn't seem to work to make them quit. This was quite counterintuitive.
It really was. Let's start with why people begin. It's rarely just one thing, is it?
No, the analysis showed a whole range of influences. There's simple exposure. If you grow up in a family where everyone smokes, it just seems normal, almost expected.
Then there's peer pressure, right? Friends smoking, the desire to fit in, not feel left out.
Definitely. Big factor, especially for younger people. And historically, we can't ignore the massive role of media and advertising. Smoking was linked to being cool, sophisticated, successful, mature.
Yeah, movie stars lighting up.
Exactly. Then there are the psychological reasons. People start because they think it helps with stress relief. Some believe, often mistakenly, that it helps them concentrate when studying or working under pressure.
Pure curiosity plays a role too, I suppose. And maybe rebellion for teenagers?
Yes, rebellion is a big one. Defying parents or rules, trying to assert independence, show they're in control of their own choices. Sometimes it's even linked, bizarrely, to attempts at weight loss, so it's a complex mix.
Okay, now the really surprising part. What doesn't work effectively to stop people, according to the source?
The graphic health warnings on cigarette packs, those pictures of diseased lungs, rotting teeth, throat cancer.
Wait, those don't work. That seems crazy. The evidence of harm is right there.
It does seem crazy, but this dives into some interesting behavioral psychology. The problem is often denial or psychological distance. Well, when a risk seems far away in the future, like getting lung cancer in 20 or 30 years, people tend to think, oh, that won't happen to me. They minimize the personal relevance.
Okay, the it won't happen to me syndrome.
Exactly. And the source mentioned this really strange, almost perverse outcome. Instead of being scared off, some smokers actually start choosing their cigarette packs based on the picture.
You're kidding? Like trading cards?
Almost.
Yeah.
They develop avoidance strategies. They might ask the shopkeeper, give me the one with the black lungs, not the one with the guy with the throat hole. They normalize the risk by picking the least bad image rather than internalizing the warning.
Wow, so the graphic warnings can actually backfire by making the risk seem mundane or manageable through choice.
In some cases, yes. It's a fascinating, if disturbing, finding.
So if terrifying pictures don't work because of denial and this weird normalization effect, what does work, behaviorally speaking?
The sources pointed very strongly to one thing. Money, the financial impact.
Hitting them in the wallet.
Exactly, because unlike the distant threat of disease, the financial pain is immediate. It's tangible. It's impossible to ignore every single day.
The source mentioned the cost in places like Chicago.
Yeah, easily 10, 12 US dollars, sometimes more, for a single pack. And a lot of that is taxes. When smoking starts costing you hundreds of dollars every month.
It forces a very real calculation. You see that money disappearing.
Precisely. Saving $300 or $400 a month is concrete. It's immediate feedback. You can think about what else you could buy with that money right now. That immediate financial deterrent often seems to cut through the psychological defenses in a way that long-term health warnings don't.
So, in a way, the government cracking down with high taxes is actually a very effective behavioral tool.
It seems to be one of the most effective, yes. The cost barrier forces a change in calculation that warnings alone often fail to achieve.
Okay, this has been quite a journey through different worlds. The corporate boardroom, the messy living room, the internal battle with addiction.
Very diverse context.
And what really strikes me looking back across all three is that success, whether it's navigating a crisis, getting the house clean, or changing a habit, seems to hinge on having a structure, a plan, a method.
I agree. It's not random.
And that feels like the perfect connection to our main goal today, achieving fluency in English. Because fluency isn't just about luck or having a good ear either, is it? It's about having the right strategy.
Absolutely. It requires a systematic approach, and that's what this final part is about. Taking the structured advice found in the sources, specifically the financial principles and the cleaning methodology, and using them as a powerful metaphor, a step-by-step guide for you to achieve fluency.
Right, it's the synthesis. Applying proven success frameworks from other areas directly to language learning. If you want English that flows, you need a plan. So where do we start with the financial advice?
Let's start there. The source mentioned advice from a Mr. Hayes to someone named Sam about financial success. We can reframe those 5 principles as 5 steps toward mastering English fluency.
Okay, step 1. The absolute foundation of financial success, according to this Mr. Hayes, is spend less than you earn. Non-negotiable.
Right. Now, how does that apply to language learning? Well, think of your earning as your language output, your ability to speak and write accurately. And your spending is the complexity of the language you attempt to use.
Okay.
So master the basics first, build a solid foundation. If you try to use really complex grammar or obscure idioms, spending a lot of complexity before you've mastered basic things like verb tenses or simple sentence structure, earning basic accuracy or overspending, your communication might collapse.
So build a solid base of accurate, simple language before trying to get too fancy. Don't run before you can walk.
Exactly. Secure your foundation first.
Okay, principle number 2. Have an emergency fund. Your financial safety net for unexpected problems.
For English fluency, this translates to always have essential conversational vocabulary ready. This is your emergency fund.
House.
Think about those moments when you're suddenly put on the spot in a conversation, or you freeze up, or the topic suddenly shifts, like that business meeting turning into a chat about chores.
Right. You need something to fall back on.
Precisely. Your emergency fund is that core set of basic greetings, politeness phrases like, I'm in the middle of something right now, common fillers, ways to ask for clarification. These need to be absolutely automatic, requiring zero effort, so you can deploy them instantly when you're under pressure.
Your conversational safety net. Got it.
Yeah.
Third financial principle.
Invest in yourself. Mr. Hayes stressed dedicating time, energy, maybe even money to mastering specific skills, taking courses, reading books, getting the right tools.
And for language.
It means master your specific skill set. Don't just vaguely study English. Be targeted. Invest your time and energy in improving specific components of fluency.
Like what?
Maybe you decide, this month I'm going to really nail the pronunciation of the sound. Or this week I'm focusing entirely on practicing that noun governing noun structure we talked about.
So focused practice on specific skills, not just general exposure.
Exactly. That focused investment yields much higher returns in fluency.
Makes sense. Fourth principle, start earning more. Financially, this means using your improved skills to do more valuable work and increase your income.
In language terms, this is the crucial application stage. Use your skills to produce more and take risks.
Put it into practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you've invested in improving your pronunciation or mastering a new grammatical pattern, don't just keep it in your notebook. Use it immediately and often.
Ow.
Volunteer to give that presentation. Deliberately use the new phrases in your next conversation. Try writing an email using the formal structures you learned. Take on those challenging communication tasks. Your fluency output has to increase as your skills increase.
You have to actively use what you learn to make it stick.
Exactly. Push yourself to earn more with your improved skills.
Okay. And the final financial principle, the ultimate goal for many, create passive income. Money that works for you even when you're not actively managing it.
This is the dream stage of fluency. Internalize the language so it flows naturally. Passively, meaning you've practiced those structures, those phrases, like for crying out loud, go cold turkey, lay it on me so many times in so many contexts that they become automatic.
They require zero conscious thought to produce.
Exactly. They just flow out naturally, passively, when the situation calls for them. This frees up your mental energy to focus entirely on the meaning, the strategy, the connection in the conversation, not on searching for the right words or grammar. That is true fluency,
Wow.
language working for you.
Wow, that's a really powerful framework. Using financial principles as a roadmap for fluency.
I think it provides a clear strategic path.
And that idea of structure is reinforced even more by the other analogy from the sources, the method for effective house cleaning.
Yes. The cleaning analogy is great because it's so practical, so step by step. We can use those cleaning steps as a detailed guide for structuring your actual learning process.
Okay, let's break it down. First step in effective cleaning, according to the source, make a plan.
Right. You don't just start randomly scrubbing. You make a list of tasks. You break down big jobs like clean the entire house into smaller, manageable steps. Wash dishes, wipe counters, vacuum living room.
And for fluency,
Break big goals into smaller, measurable tasks. Don't just have a vague goal like become fluent in business English. That's too big, too overwhelming.
so break it down into
Specific, achievable objectives. Like, this week I will learn and practice 5 phrasal verbs related to finance. Or, today I will spend 20 minutes practicing the why don't you and I'll structure for making suggestions. Make a plan with small, concrete steps.
Okay, plan with small steps. Second cleaning step, gather your tools.
You need your mop, cloths, sprays, vacuum cleaner before you start cleaning.
Yeah, this phrase running around later.
Exactly. For language learning, this means gather your vocabulary lists, grammar notes, phrase examples, whatever resources you need for that specific learning task before you sit down to study. Have your tools ready.
Be prepared. Makes sense. Third,
Clean focus on one room topic at a time. You wouldn't normally clean half the kitchen, then half the bathroom, then back to the kitchen, would you?
no, that would be inefficient. You finish one room before starting the next.
Right. So for English, focus on one topic or skill set at a time. Immerse yourself in the language of crisis negotiation, like our part 1, until you feel comfortable before you switch to mastering domestic vocabulary, part 2. Avoid scattering your attention. Don't try to memorize legal jargon and cooking terms in the same study session. Focus.
One room, one topic. Got it.
Yeah.
Fourth, cleaning step. This one sounds important. Start from top to bottom.
Yes, this is crucial in cleaning. You dust the high shelves and wipe down furniture first, letting the dust fall down. Then you vacuum or mop the floor last.
Otherwise, you just make the clean floor dirty again.
Exactly. And this is maybe the most powerful analogy for learning grammar and structure.
How so? Top to bottom for grammar.
It means master the core structure.
Yeah.
First, the top, the foundation, the ceiling, before focusing on the fine details, the bottom, the floor decoration.
So what's the top in grammar?
Things like basic sentence structure, subject, verb, object, correct verb tense usage, word order. The fundamental framework that holds the language together. Get that solid first.
And the bottom.
The finer details like complex clauses, subtle idiom usage, perfect pronunciation nuances, advanced vocabulary, those are important, but they rest on the foundation. If your basic sentence structure, the top, is shaky or dusty, polishing the fancy vocabulary, the floor, won't make your communication clear or effective. Foundation first.
That's a brilliant analogy. Top-down learning. Okay, fifth cleaning step. Declutter.
Yes. Get rid of stuff you don't need, old newspapers, broken gadgets, clothes you never wear. Create space.
And for language learning.
Get rid of unused or broken language habits. Declutter your English.
What kind of habits?
Maybe you consistently rely on very simple, basic vocabulary when you actually know better words, or you use awkward phrases that are direct translations from your native language, or you overuse certain filler words like, or,
Things that make you sound less fluent.
Exactly. Identify those inefficient or incorrect habits, the clutter, and make a conscious effort to replace them with the more fluent, accurate options you're learning. Swap out, I'm too busy now, for the much smoother, I'm in the middle of something right now. Declutter the old, bring in the new.
Be ruthless with your linguistic clutter. Okay, sixth step. Set a schedule.
Cleaning works best when it's a habit, right? Maybe quick daily tasks like making the bed, plus a deeper clean weekly like mopping the floors. Consistency.
Right. So for language,
Make learning a regular, consistent habit. Don't just study sporadically when you feel motivated. Schedule it in.
how?
Maybe 15 minutes every morning reviewing key phrases. Perhaps an hour twice a week for a deep dive into a new grammar topic or practicing conversation. Whatever fits your life, make it a regular, predictable routine. Consistency is what builds that passive, automatic fluency over time.
Make it a habit, not a chore you avoid. Last cleaning step. Involve everyone.
Yeah, the source mentioned this cleaning is often faster and less burdensome if the chores are shared, like that couple negotiating with, why don't you and all?
Makes sense. Teamwork. How does that apply to learning?
Involve native speakers or learning partners. Don't just study alone from books or apps. Practice.
Talk to people.
Yes. Find opportunities to use the language actively with others. Practice those fluent phrases like, lay it on me, or for crying out loud in role-playing scenarios with a tutor or language partner. Try negotiating using the structures you learned. Communication is the fastest way to internalize language and make your practice more effective and often more fun too.
So don't just learn passively, activate it through interaction. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Outro.
So if we bring everything together from today's deep dive, the real key to unlocking that smooth, high-level English, the kind that lets you navigate any situation, really isn't just about memorizing words.
No, it's more than that.
It's about recognizing the precise context, knowing when to use a specific legal term, like Chapter 11, choosing the right level of formality, like redundancies versus layoffs, picking the exact phrase for polite negotiation, like, why don't you clean and I'll shop?
More understanding the subtle but crucial difference in intensity between deciding to cut down versus deciding to quit something entirely.
Exactly. And achieving that level of nuanced control comes from having a structure, a method for learning, just like the financial principles or the cleaning methodology we discussed. That structured approach is really the engine that drives you towards fluency.
It's been quite a journey today, hasn't it? From the pressures of the boardroom through the psychology of willpower and quitting bad habits and landing on these really practical, structured ways to approach your own language learning. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.
And maybe a final thought for you, the listener. We talked about the extreme action of going cold turkey on habits. We talked about the methodical top-to-bottom approach to cleaning or learning. So think about your own English journey right now. What specific area, maybe pronunciation, maybe grammar, maybe specific vocabulary needs that structured top-to-bottom approach? Where do you need to focus on the foundation before adding the details?
Right.
And what low-level language habit, maybe a filler word you overuse, an awkward phrase you rely on, a common mistake are you ready to go cold turkey on starting today? What fluent phrase or better habit, maybe one you heard here, can you actively replace it with?
Food for thought. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.